Okay, now I don't expect, since you're used to me coming on later, how do you like my hair? It's pretty, huh? Yeah. Um, mm, uh, basically, I just had some random thoughts, and we're going to have the ceremony later. So if you're not hearing this live, it's no big deal. You can just go rewatch it. It's not a major thing, okay? Because this is not a time I'm normally on, so I don't necessarily expect anybody to show up for this one. But I wanted to get some thoughts down just that were rolling in my head, and I might be doing this a lot more because I do from time to time just have these thoughts, and sometimes by the evening I'm too tired to even bring it up. I'm just too freaking tired. And it doesn't have the freshness as it does earlier. So anyway, I hope you like this look. This is probably the one I'm going to be keeping for a while. I'll probably keep it for a while because I like it. It's comfy for me. It's not too hot, you know. So not so hot in the kind of weather we've been having. Not so hot is actually good. So yeah, I figured this way I would get my thoughts through without having to really watch chat too much. Like I said, you can listen to this at any point and get something out of it, right? Get the meaning out of it. It's not necessarily to be here live for this one. I'm going to run the credits, whatever you want to call it, the intro. Now let me see, are we really sharing it? Oh, we've almost got it. What happened here? Oh, okay. That's better. I are such a professional. I'll get it right someday. Really, it will. Come on, headbang with me. Hi. Now that's okay. You can hear this later and be okay. It's just a little information. So, no problem. It's not a time I normally come on, so I figured I'd be able to get through a rant without having to pay too much attention to chat. Sometimes I get knocked off by all the chat, but that's okay, Linda. Thanks for coming. I appreciate that you did make it. I'm just waiting a moment to see. I'm running through the intro to see if anybody shows up. And you did. Making waves and navigating. Mercury retrograde pretty soon. It's coming up. Coming up. Yes. Mercury retrograde is coming to smack us again, although it will probably be a love tap compared to what we have faced in the past. Some of us who have learned to surf the retrograde will not have any problems to speak of. Not any unexpected ones anyway. Just the usual stuff that people go, yeah, why did this happen? Well, Mercury's dancing backwards. He's being a little heyoka. He's being a little trickster. We're in the shadow of it right now. And I think it's like the 29th or something. 28th, 29th is when it's full on. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just realize that it's just another, it's almost like being in another version of reality. Okay. And once you learn the rules to that, you're fine. Okay. And you can actually use it for your own purposes, as I have done. Please refer to my video on Mercury retrograde. So that out of the way, it is also the pink super full flower moon, or the pink flower super full moon, or something like that. Anyway, it's kind of a special, it's kind of a big deal as far as full moons go. But now you've got to realize, I'm sorry, but yes, the full moon does affect, the moon does affect things here on this planet. It can't help but do that. You can prove this very easy. I mean, if you put a blade out in the moonlight, it will get dull, for instance. Why? We don't know. If you put it under a pyramid, though, it'll get sharp again. Why? It's the way the place was coated. I don't know why they coded it that way. I guess there had to be. But these are parts of the game that you should know. They're like the hacks, tricks, and tips part of the game. I'm going to show you mudras, too. If this is a game, if this is a holofractal universe based on VR, a very advanced VR technology, then and it's a game, there's got to be tricks, tips, and hacks. And there are. And it turns out there's also got to be buttons to do things with your Abby, and there are. And there's got to be buttons to do things with everything, and there are. It turns out there are. So, and some people know where these buttons are, and some people don't. Some people never got a hold of the manual. So this is something that we should definitely discuss if we're living here. You know, we're trying to live in here, trying to figure this out and trying to prepare for moving on, perhaps. Although I have a feeling, there they go upstairs. It never fails. If I'm doing a broadcast, they're making noise upstairs. It's just the way it is. So I plan tonight to make some noise of my own. Anyway, and if they're up there, that's just tough. But I'm going to do it before I can get into any trouble. Anyway, there's certain hours. If you do it before certain hours, you can be okay. So, okay, here we go. One of the things I want to discuss is, like I said, Mercury retrograde is coming up. It's a good time to redo things, return things, and look at my video if you don't understand Mercury retrograde. It's a time, okay? So just about anything you can put on, it starts with you can do it during this time successfully. So, you know, it's not really all bad. You know, it's not even bad. It's just bad for things that this society worships. So, let's see, what else did I want to remind you of? Yes, tonight will be the ceremony. I'm going to try to take it outside if things go well. If it's not too hot, if we don't have mosquitoes already, because last year the mosquitoes at night out here were brutal, okay? Brutal. And if it gets like that, well, I'm not going to be doing any nighttime things out near the woods. It isn't happening. because we are in a swampy area. And guess what? They just love that kind of stuff. They love water. They breathe in water. But I might show you around a little bit today if it works out. I'll take my camera and show you around our place a little bit today, our grounds, maybe, or one day soon. It's supposed to cool down next week, which would make it a little bit better. One of the things I wanted to mention that I've heard the name kind of bandied around, just kind of mentioned by some people on other channels, and you know, I want to set a little bit of the record straight here. If you hear the name Melchizideck, it is a surname. It's a surname. It's also associated with a figure in the Bible who was named Melchizideck, or actually, that's a translation. It was somebody that, it was a king in the Bible that worshiped the same God as Abraham, but was not Hebrew, okay? So was a non-Hebrew king who worshiped the same God as Abraham. And so sometimes it also has been used, I've heard it used to mean generous king, or maybe a philanthropist. But it means righteous king. It literally translated means righteous king. So if you hear that term, that was the biblical reference. But then there is also a guy, a teacher, a metaphysical teacher of esoteric stuff named Drunvalo Melchizideck. It is a surname. And Drunvalo is on top of being a pretty nice guy. Really, he is. And you should look up his work. Now, he's got his own take on everything, you know. It's like everything else. But he has a lot of information in his books. And if it weren't for Drunvalo, I wouldn't have any idea what the flower of life was. I wouldn't have any, I wouldn't really have looked into the Platonic solids. And I know this may be like, you may be saying, what the heck is that? But it's divine geometry, and it has a place in all of this. If it wasn't for divine geometry, we wouldn't have all of the stuff that you physically see. It's form. It's basically the underpinnings of form, and sacred geometry is a whole field of study. I wouldn't know anything about, I wouldn't have been introduced to that. He introduced me to, well, really all kinds of things. And he introduced me to Thoth, really. I didn't know very much about Thoth at the time, and I'm sure if I hadn't read his stuff, I probably wouldn't have had Thoth show up in my living room like he did. But while I was reading his book, The Secrets of the Flower of Life, and reading the part about Thoth, that's when some of my memories came back. I got some of my memory back at that time, and it was very enlightening, something I'd wondered about for a long time, because when I was, part of the time that I was dead and somewhere else, I was in a cave talking to an ancient person. I even painted a picture of them. But I couldn't remember what we were talking about. And it was like I was getting a download from this person. It was like I got a package I had to unpack. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out who this person was. I know I should know them because they seem to know me really well. But I couldn't quite place it. Like, who is this person? Who is this person? Who's this person? And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's Thoth's wife, Seshet. Oh yes, very Yeah, the library. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. You know, I wouldn't have had that revelation if it wasn't for that book by Drunvalo Melchizideck. That's just his name. But I think he's Ukrainian or something. By the way, as a weird aside, I met a guy who was in Ukrainian, and their Bible, he was a very religious fellow, but Ukrainian, and their Bible is very interestingly different from the King James version, like way different. And for instance, in their belief, in their Bible, it doesn't mention sin. It mentions missing the mark, and which is different because sin, our concept of sin that we see in the King James Bible is, oh, you are evil, you evil person. And there's some concept of retribution or something associated with it, or some kind of punishment, or whatever. Sin, But they don't have that in the Ukrainian version. It doesn't say that. It says missing the mark. That's how they refer to it, which is just a description of being human, I mean, we all miss the mark. We strive and miss it, which is a much nicer way of thinking about it than you've sinned, So I gotta say, we think we know what's in that book. There's a lot of versions of that book, and it appeals to a lot of people, a lot of different people. But the person who is reading this version over here and the person that's reading that version, there are all kinds of versions, and they put different emphasis on different things depending on who translated it. It's obvious we're not all reading the same book, are we? Weird. Yeah. Basic stuff is still there, but the translators make a big difference in how they translate it, how it comes to us, and the kind of connotations everything has. So when somebody, mentions this kind of thing to me, and I say, well, which version? And most of them in this country are talking about King James, which is not necessarily the purest translation. There's still a lot of wisdom in there, because I'm sure that there's wisdom accumulated through the ages from a lot of different cultures that's stuck in there, and filtered through the translators. So, it's not that there's nothing in there for anybody. There definitely is. It's just, which translation are you reading? And, the closer you get to Aramaic, the more different it is. To the original Aramaic, the more different it is. To the original Hebrew or whatever, which there's a version written in Aramaic that was translated completely. Wow, hard to even recognize the same book. That's how many different versions of the same thing. I mean, this is different versions of reality. This brings us to a similar idea. What is holofractal? We've heard, or maybe you haven't, or maybe you have heard, that the universe is holofractal. It appears to be holofractal. So what the heck does that mean? Holofractal is combining the idea of a hologram, which you are familiar with, I'm sure, by now. But bear in mind that while most of you have encountered the kind that you see, they have already come up with 5D version years ago that you could touch. And, you know, people were petting dolphins that were swimming through the air and feeling them. So, of course, you know what they're doing is they're doing virtual reality. They're developing, and probably have done this already, because this was years ago. They have probably already developed virtual reality good enough to fool people that it is a real thing. But the difference is going to be it won't have the substance, you know? It won't have the spirit either, I think. This is probably why we're getting instructed to really develop our discernment, because this is probably, I think there are some people who are probably going to try and use this against us to control us. And there's been all kinds of discussion about what that might look like, especially since we're talking about disclosure now. And we know that there are people who are dreading disclosure, because that would mean admitting the lie. That would mean admitting lies that have hurt a lot of people. So, hi, Crystal. Yeah, I'm coming on at a weird time today. So it's just kind of I'm just doing a kind of a stream of consciousness thing today. So you can play it back and, you know, it's all cool. But thank you for coming in. Hi. I don't know how many people are going to be in. It's a nice day in the middle of the day when I'm not usually on. Anyway, holofractal. So they have already, I'm sure they have holograms now that are almost indistinguishable from reality, if not indistinguishable, unless you have a certain amount of discernment. Thank you. Great to see you too, sweetheart. Yeah. So I'm sitting here thinking we need to talk about this a little bit, because your eyes, that's what my guides have been saying this for the longest time. Your eyes can be fooled. Your five senses can be fooled. But your inner senses, your inner sensing of your real sensing. And I am inclined to believe that these five senses that we rely on in this matrix are not the real ones, really. I mean, because they can be so easily fooled. But not so easily fooled are the inner ones, the ones that these are based on. Because it's not the other way around. Our inner senses are not based on our outer five senses, on these supposedly outer five senses. Our outer five senses that we're using here in the game are really based on our real ones, internal ones. That's the way it really goes. So when we're talking about something like discernment, you're going to have to use your internal vision and hone that, and your internal feelings, and you're going to have to listen to your gut. You're going to have to listen to your heart, you're going to have to listen to your head, and you're going to have to listen to your gut. Put those three things together and extrapolate from there, because they all have a different way of sensing this, okay? And it's not necessarily in the same way. It's probably, I'd have to say your gut is one of the most honest ways, because your head is thinky and your heart is feely, but your gut is kind of practical. So it's pretty good for practical stuff, you know. And So this is why we do the meditation and stuff, is to hone that. Now, you don't have to do this to have experiences. People have experiences all the time that don't bother to meditate or do any of the other, or fast or do any of the other practices. But these other practices, help us. Okay, one of the things, I'm going to back up a little bit here. One of the things that I have noticed in my years, most people who come in to learn things like shamanic things, who learn anything metaphysical, psychism and all of this, they already got it. Most of them already have something. And what they're really looking is to control it, because to them, it's running wild and it just happens randomly. And they're looking to be able to control it rather than develop it. Although developing it more fully, you do get more control over it. And yet there will always be a part of it. Because remember, we're not just dealing with ourselves. We're dealing with other beings in this universe. Okay? So sometimes it's going to be them that's doing it, that's allowing for this experience, not you. They're coming through. Your thing is, yes, you are receiving it. And being able to receive it is another thing too. A pure channel receives it less clouded. I mean, a more pure communication. When you have a lot of filters and judgments and things in the way, you can pick up a lot different signal. And my guides have spoken to this. That's why there's times when they can talk to me and times when they can't, when I'm really not functioning on a pretty high level. Sometimes they can't talk to me. They're talking, they talk to me, I can't hear them. And that's you, that's not them. They're there always. They're always there. They can hear you anytime. They're listening. Okay? I mean, it's us, usually. It's not them. If they are a higher level guide. So it just makes it easier for us to hear clearly or see clearly. And you really appreciate that if you ever have it cut out on you like I had for a while. Mine is coming back now, so I'm happy. I'm able to see more things than I could now, because for a while it was really driving me a bit nuts, not being able to see much and not being able to sense like I could. But I'm told it's going to come back even better than it was before. So in time, I have to be patient. Once again, a lot of things are getting overhauled. I hope you're patient. The overhaul's taking some time. Remember, there's a lot going on. People really are trying to move this along. But it's as much us as anything else that is to blame for things not moving fast enough. It's our energy and what we put forth that makes a difference too, on whether we can receive these things. Because a lot of these things are even right there for us. We just don't have quite the ability to receive them yet. So if you can't see it and you can't receive it, you'll step right by it like it wasn't there. See what I'm saying? I mean, if there's money line, I knew a guy who used to pick up all kinds of change and stuff up. Used to sometimes make some pretty good money doing that. He would pick up he would find change and money and dollar bills and stuff all over the place because he was looking for it. A lot of people walk right past it, don't even see it. Money lying on the ground. Or they're too lazy to just go pick it up, right? But if you're not looking for it, you might not find it. You know, you might go right past it. There's so many things that are based on that inattention that we have. We kind of have selective attention. And if we're very distracted, we have a tendency to not see what's right in front of us, which is, I think, how some of these cryptids hide. I really do. I think some of these things that we don't see out in the woods is because we are not expecting it, or maybe we're distracted by something. I mean, we're constantly distracted. We have so many distractions. We are in a constant state of distraction around here, you know, because we pay attention a lot to our five senses, and there's usually, for many of us, there's stuff happening all the freaking time, right? I mean, if you have kids or something, you know, or a big family, or you're living in a city or whatever, there's a lot of distractions. This is why I think sometimes people who are out in the sticks, they do a little bit better. Not as many distractions. Not as many distractions. Not as many waves of all, you know, flying in at you all the time. So that's another thing I wanted to mention. So anyway, holofractal. Okay, so the hologram part, we know that that's been worked on, and they're probably way advanced at it now and just not letting us know. Because why let us know? It's silly. Then we'd know something, and we can't know things. It just isn't part of the plan. But not unless it's lucrative in some way. Now, it could be lucrative, but the fact that it's not coming out to the public makes me think it's going to be used for something different. That's why. It could be great entertainment, I suppose, but that's probably not what they're saving it for. That means it's more valuable in another way, to be used in another way, or it would be out right now, and we'd be able to jump into a reality and have it. So, you know, something's up there. Just saying. That would be very sellable. I know it would. So there's another. The fractal part you may not know about. Now, if you've never seen a fractal, just Google fractals. I'm not gonna, oh, I guess I could. Let me see if I can bring up what a fractal looks like. And that would, I probably should have the ability to, fractal definition. Quantile is sometimes used instead of fractile, and that can be expressed as quartiles, deciles, percentiles expressing decimal or fraction, blah, 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 and it's kind of scientific and etc. But it has to do with numbers. Let's just put it that way. But what a fractal looks like, there is also a couple of things that generate fractals that are really cool. It's those trippy, looking, trippy looking pictures. Let me see if I can get a page of them up. Yes, here we go. Okay, so let's get a share screen here. And look at the Bing images. Here are fractals. Now, the interesting thing about fractals, whoa, no, I didn't want that. No, I'm trying to move it. Oh, please quit this. Okay, I'm going to double check and make sure this is actually coming in. Here, I'll make it bigger. Okay. Now, as you see, this up here, this thing that is kind of a, they call this sometimes, it's called a Mandelbrot. Sometimes it's also called a Buddha blob, because it kind of looks like a Buddha. But anyway, fat Buddha, you know. But these are actually figures, like, for instance, there will be a prime figure and it buds off versions of itself. And the interesting thing about a fractal is that this is how they make things. It simulates, how can I put this best in a nutshell? Simulates how things actually grow here. Plants do this. They just bud off more copies of themselves. People do this. They make copies of themselves. Everything, every kind of life makes copies of itself. Right. And it buds off from the original. Okay. But the copies are not exact. And neither is it in fractals, although they look like it. As you get further from the prime, as you get further away from that original, which is called the prime, then you get more and more differences. So this is sort of like your tie-dye hippie looking psychedelic stuff, right? The reason they were seeing this kind of stuff is because this is what the freaking Matrix is based on. This is how it makes more, you know. This is also, I'm convinced, why the macrocosm equals the microcosm, and as above, so below, is because there are all these little pieces attached to the main one, budding off from the main one. But the farther you go, the more different they are. They're just a little different. Not piece by piece, like as you go down the line, you won't notice it. But if you compare the first one to the last one, you might start to notice some differences. Just depends on how many iterations. Kind of like you're copying things in a copier and you start to run out of toner, or maybe you start to run out of a particular color and it gets a little different and a little different and a little different. Okay. So, you know, kind of like that. Now, if somebody came in and hacked your program and said, "Oh, we're gonna take out the yellow," for instance, how much different would that look? Eventually, it wouldn't look anything at all. You wouldn't be able to even tell what the original looked like, maybe, right? So, let me find a particularly pretty fractal here, and we'll a particularly neato looking fractal. I think I kind of like that one. Here you go. And I'm going to bump up magnification. All of these little bits are really copies of the main one. All these little dots here, all these little swirls, and in every single little swirl is another little dot with a copy of this main thing. Okay, so does that give you some idea how this works? Well, that's why it's called a fractal, is because the universe is like this. What we're living in does this. It's the reason why you can lay down some cards, and the pattern of the cards, or whatever it is you're using for divination, will follow the pattern of what is going on in life, is because it's following the fractal pattern. It's following the holofractal pattern. That's why astrology mirrors what's going on in the world. It's huge pattern, and maybe what's going on in your life is a much smaller pattern, but they mirror each other because they're part of the same thing. I hope I'm getting this idea across well enough, because at first it may be a little weird, strange to think about, that really this is what it's all based on. And people can argue it, but really when you think about it, what do you notice in reality? Life makes more life like life, Some of these look like plants. I mean, some of them remind me of broccoli. Some of them remind me of, flowers. There's a reason for that. That's what it's all based on, is this kind of geometric stuff here. It appears it's sort of self-organizing too. It's kind of amazing, and it comes from numbers. It comes from equations. That's what it comes from. Okay, so now this is showing you up close. Over here on the right-hand side of your screen is this great big image, this great big black field. It's a big dot and a smaller dot and some smaller dots. What is it going to? Up there is another exact copy of it, or nearly exact. And then down in the point of it, it's pointing right to another small version of it. And then at every juncture, there's a small version of it. And every little curlicue holds another dot like that. Okay, I'm not going to spend any more time with that. You can look up fractals on your own, and it's kind of cool. And they're beautiful, really. They are beautiful, and probably responsible for a lot of the beauty that we see in this world. So, and this is interesting because somebody mentioned this to me. There's a tradition among Native Americans that when you are gathering a plant, that you go out and you pass by the first 7. That is to protect the next 7 generations. That is for their benefit. But if you think about it, one of the iterations would be the first thing you would come across, one of the smaller iterations. By the time you go 7 in, you're getting more into the middle of it, into a little bit older growth, which would be more likely to survive you picking it, right? So it makes sense. There's so many things in that culture that were done that just make so much sense. It was just a rule because it was a rule of thumb because it solved a problem. Okay, it solved a problem. Like, okay, if I were to say, you know, we have rules of thumb too. But it's not exactly like rules of thumb. Ours are more, you know, in general, XYZ. Theirs were more problem solving ones, you know. I guess, I hope I'm explaining that well enough. So looking into that culture was very interesting for me. If we thought more like that, we probably would solve most of our problems. You know, if we thought ahead, they did a lot of thinking ahead because believing that you're responsible 7 generations out. So then you got to plan ahead. So would we be doing the same things if we thought like that? Probably not. If we thought, hey, how is having nuclear power plants going to affect people on down the line? I mean, what if one of those things melts down? Well, we've seen what happens. What if they were all to melt down? Okay. You know, I mean, that would pretty much toast us all. What would the next 7 generations be like? Maybe there wouldn't be any. Or maybe they'd be in a horrific world. So it's just another thought of that. Oh, yes. And back to the term Melchizideck. I wanted to get back. One more thing I wanted to say about that. See how I drifted? One more thing I wanted to say about the term Melchizideck. My friend Paul, whom you might have met on Frugal's channel, Frugal B1TCH, my other channel, he was on there showing us the readings with his EMF meter of all the electronics. And bear in mind that anytime you touch anything plugged in, you're getting zapped with electricity. It carries a current. Whether it's on or off doesn't even matter. It didn't matter in the readings. So if you're sitting around and things are not even turned on, if you're leaning up next to an amp or holding your mouse, if you sit with your hand on your mouse, you are getting zapped every single time. And every cord, every electrical cord has a little halo of energy that it gives off around it that's very high. So if you're standing or sitting over a cord, you're getting zapped every single time. Well, thanks, D. Thanks, Crystal. You're drifting. You're just going with the flow, D. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's so he belongs to the order of Melchizideck. And so what is the order of Melchizideck? What is that really? I asked him, what does that really mean? Because every now and then he'd say, I belong to the order of Melchizideck. Okay, so what is it? You ready? It's terrible. No, it's not. In the order of Melchizideck, now remember I told you it was, the connotation was generous or righteous king. Okay. They take a vow. They take a vow of service. Yes, they take a vow to help people. How bad is that? So there is an organization called the Order of Melchizideck. And what they do, boy, I'm itchy today. I think I'm a little itchy to my hair. I'm always a little itchy to my hair. Weird. And there's a lot of pollen out there today too. So here is a group of people. When people toss around this Melchizedek term and try and act like it's something negative, could be negative, could be positive, whatever. It's a surname, first of all. Second of all, I know for a fact this guy that I know, Paul, a good friend of mine, Order of Melchizedek, I know two of them, actually. That's right. My friend Pilar is also Order of Melchizedek. They're nice people, generally. They're helpful people. They've taken a vow to help. How bad is that? Okay. So, actually, it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? I mean, so whatever it was in the past, what it is today at this point is an order of people who help other people, who believe in helping other people. Well, I can get behind that idea. I can. So, that's that. Another thing is this idea of planets being beneficial or not beneficial. Actually, although some of them are called, like for instance, Jupiter's called the Great Beneficent, Saturn is called the Maleficent. Okay. And that's just because of what they do. But honestly, are they evil and good? Not necessarily. Jupiter is a planet of expansion. It's the biggest planet. And being a gas giant, it's large. Things get larger. When Jupiter is going through a chart, when Jupiter is at work, things get larger, which is great if it's money or, something you want. But if it's something you don't want, and Jupiter is affecting that, if something's going on that Jupiter is affecting that you don't want, it snowballs huge fast. It gets big fast. It just gets bigger and bigger. Depends on where your attention is, or what you're doing. So Jupiter in one case is very beneficial, but in another case may be detrimental. You see, again, it's a duality. It's really neutral. It depends on how it's being used or functioning. So if you use the energy of Jupiter, be aware that it's going to expand, whatever it is you're using it on. So you really don't want to use Jupiter energy on getting rid of something. If you want to lose weight, you don't use Jupiter. For instance, you want to go on a diet and get slender, Jupiter is not the planet for that, okay? That's just the antithesis of it. No, for that you want Saturn. And then they call Saturn the Maleficent. Okay, or malefactor. Well, why? Because it decreases. It shrinks things. Now, once again, if this is your finances, well, you don't like that. All kinds of things that Saturn shrinks, maybe you don't like. But maybe you're trying to get slimmer, then you would want to use Saturn because it's the principle of pulling in, shrinking. This is how you got to look at these things, okay? Instead of saying, this is evil, this is good, this is blah, 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 blah. No, this is neutral. How are you going to use these energies? How do you need to use these energies? This is part of why knowing what you're doing, having some study, goes a long way. These are the cheat codes of the universe, okay? So if you know what a planet means, okay, Mars is not just war, it's passion. Now, if you're making war, using Mars might be a good thing. Mars coming in and doing something might be a real good thing. But if you are trying to have, well, it's tricky. Passion can be a great thing if you're making love. But once again, if you're doing something destructive, you could be passionately killing a bunch of people too. But then again, if you are having to stand up for yourself, Mars might be good to give you the passion to fuel your determination to stand up for yourself. The moon, it's emotional. We won't even go into the bipolar nature of that, right? I mean, okay, so all of the planets and all of the moons, all of that, now they're even talking about asteroids having their connotation. Good to know what the connotation is. What, Venus is love? Okay, love. Depends on what you love. Depends on how you mean love. Love has got some strange connotations these days, but the planet of love, it's probably one of the least harmful planets, and yet, in a way, not. Because you can be in love with somebody and they don't love you back, then you're screwed, right? It really hurts. So you really have to know what you're getting into when you're talking planets. This is why astrologers get paid, okay? This is why astrologers, somebody asked me, that now your chart, I hate to tell, unless you are doing sidereal, you're probably going to be off. Although they correct it, they just automatically correct it. A good astrologer does that for these effects. So really, whatever sign they say you are, you're probably not really that sign in the progression. And it progresses. So as far as astrology goes, it's more like a roadmap, okay? It's more like a roadmap says this could happen, that could happen. As you pass by this time of your life, you'll see this and that. How you use those things, do you decide to stop at that attraction and, do whatever that attraction, how do you use that? It's like, and then you hit something like Pluto, and that basically is a great big sign on your path that says road out ahead. Slow down. The road is Pluto transit is one of the most horrifying things I've ever been through. So it's good to know the planets, and I have a book somewhere called Making the Planets Work for You, and it's a great book. If you can get a hold of it, do snag it. The funniest thing is, I stopped reading it. I had started reading it, and somehow I got busy. Stopped reading it, put a bookmark in it, put it away. I had stopped at Pluto transit. Put it away. Long time later, I find the book again. I pull it out. I'm having one of the worst times of my life. I'm going through, hey, Gemini, one of the worst times of my life. And I read, oh, and I stopped at the Pluto transit. There's where my bookmark was. And as I read the Pluto transit, I'm going, that sounds exactly what I'm going through now. It's like a hand reaches up and pulls you down into hell. That's what a Pluto transit is generally like. It's absolutely ghastly transit. It builds character for sure, but holy crap, can it be difficult? And in my case, it was just scary as hell, literally. And it felt like hell too. Now, when I got my chart done, what was going on in my chart? Exactly. Pluto transit. And I'm there going, well, if that doesn't prove it, because I didn't know that was what was going on in my chart. I hadn't had my astrology run in a while. And I read the book and I go, wow, that sounds exactly what's happening to me. I get the chart run. Yes, it is exactly what's happening to you. Now, if I didn't think too much of astrology before, that really caught my attention. It really did catch my attention because the images I kept getting was of a bus and the bus driver being on a bus, first of all, being on a bus, and the bus driver with little devil horns. And those little devil horns are Pluto. It's funny now. Now I can look back and laugh, but at the time, oh my God. Yeah. So watch those. If you're in your chart, if you see a Pluto transit, read up on it because it'd be a lot easier if you did. It'd be so much easier. By the way, do you like my hair? Do you like my hair? It's different. Got different hair. I might keep this hair. I like this hair. Might keep it like this. Anyway, that's why I say astrology is useful, but you got to know what you're doing. You can't just read it in the newspaper and blah, 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 blah. No. You know what? A lot of times I'll read it in the paper and I know that it's coming up. Okay, it's not happening now. Usually it's nothing that's happening now. It's on the way though. It's coming up. Okay. Because all it is it's giving you a general thing for your sign. And if your sign, because of the way the calendar is, we're not on our real sign anyway. Why do they do this? Why do they even do this? Why do they even tell us this? You know, what do they even say? You're a different sign than actually you really are. Just to be confusing. That's one of my beefs with astrology. Thank you. You might want to check and see if that's what's going on in your chart. It's one of the reasons I brought it up, Gemini. I think I might want to, I haven't had my chart done in a while either. I might want to do it, but I might want to find a sidereal astrologer because they're a little closer to the truth, really. Although all the others will tweak it. Now, I have a friend, Hurley, who he does astrology, totally different basis. To him, you are the sign you were conceived at. And he gets good results too. But your birth chart is different from what the planets are actually doing in the macrocosm. What they're doing in your individual chart is one thing. What they are doing in the world at large is another thing. because states and countries, because they have an inception date, they have a birth, they have a chart. Okay? Well, thank you, Gemini. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's just having gone through all of this crap, I better know something. I better know something by now, or what has it all been for, right? And if I can't transmit it down to somebody and help somebody with it, what's it all worth, right? So, yeah, I have learned a few things about this. Maybe it will help you. Like I said, some of the cheat codes. What we need is the cheat sheets to this game, right? Because there are some. There really are. There are plenty of tips, tricks, hacks, and cheat codes to this game. You might as well look at it like that. It works really well if you look at it like that, too. If you think about it, if you want to think about this like a learning game of some sort, which is how I remember us designing it, was sort of a learning game that you could enjoy, too. You could also just go in to enjoy it. But you would also learn something from it. And, but any game has bosses that you have to, or hurdles you have to jump, or bosses you have to defeat, or other things that you do in order to get points, right, to win. And it also has tips, tricks, and hacks, and it has cheat codes, and it has backdoor stuff that you can do. It has hacky stuff that you can do. All of it. Well, guess what? If you look at it this way, it works better. Okay? If you see it like that, then you say to yourself, yeah, there's got to be a hack for this. And usually, yeah, when you're looking for it, it shows up. Just like I said back there, if you're not looking for it and you don't know it even exists, how do you know, to use it? But now that you know that it exists, why not use it, right? And some people who are purists, thank God I have not. Thank God I'm not. Thank God I'm shamanic. I can be as eclectic as I freaking want. Nobody tells me I have to go by this or that pantheon, this or that rules. I'm not limited, okay? I'm not limited by who or what I am using. You realize I have figured this out. This is another thing I figured out. I'm pretty sure about this. I can't prove it 100%. Fairly sure that all of these things like archangels, a lot of these beings that we use to help us do things, they're actually programs based on a real being, probably. The real being probably does exist. But in here, we're in a game, and we've got the hologram version, just like Doctor on one of the Star Treks. Had that doctor character who was a holographic doctor, although he could perform operations and stuff on people. He was that advanced. It's like that. And he was based on a real person. Turns out he was based on a real person. I think that was a sort of disclosure. I think all of these beings that we use, the guardians of the directions, the archangels, and all of this, the ascent, probably even, I'm not sure about this, maybe the ascended masters are that too. We're having a holographic version of them come, because why would they still be in here, right? Probably they have sent a version of themselves here that is useful to us, to help us. That's probably what's really going on. That's my thoughts. Now, it's just a weird thought, but weird thoughts is what you come here for, right? Yeah. So, my weird thoughts. That's what we would do. That's what I'd do. That's what I would do. If I felt that I had a whole lot and I was on the outside, I would send the holographic version of myself in here to help. Yes, I would. I wouldn't send myself. I'd send a holographic version. Unless what happened. Nobody was graduating, hardly. Not enough people were graduating. Not enough people were coming back out again. They were getting trapped, obviously, and we had to find out why they were stuck. Well, we found out why they were stuck. Anyway, we're not going to go into that today. We are, I'm pretty certain, though, that all the technology that we've been given has been given to us for one reason, because we had a different technology that didn't harm us. I think all of the technology that we've been given is to control us. Although we are creative beings and we're using it in an entirely different way, like I'm using this right now, I think it's really has been given to us to control us. And in a lot of cases, to make us sick. Because, oh, that's right. My friend Paul told me something that he had read a book. He still reads books a lot about the EMFs, and it was talking about how the first devices, the first electronic stuff, first radio and so on, was like 1917, the first rollout out of all of this stuff. And then 1918, they had a pandemic. So now we've got the rollout of the 5D. 1 year, the next year, we have a pandemic. There is something suspicious about that. I don't know what you make of that. Maybe you can make something out of that. Maybe not. But it is an interesting thought. Okay, the last time we had a major pandemic, they were rolling out things that dealt with radio waves and electricity. And people started getting massively sick. Now, what I think is happening in this case, is it actually the disease? No. But the way it would cause a disease is by, we're not in tune with that. It depresses the immune system, and then you get a disease. That's what I think. That's what Paul thinks too. What's going on is you already have something, in your environment. It suppresses your immune system enough that you cannot fight back well enough against it. That's what we think is going on, and probably with a lot of people. So if you have a lot of things wrong with you and you spend a lot of time getting blasted by EMFs, that's just taking you down more. Maybe you didn't have a lot wrong in the first place. I remember I was a lot healthier before I did a lot of it, before I was really into a lot of this stuff. What if it's not old age or this or that? What if I pretty much cooked myself without knowing it? What if a lot of people are doing that without knowing it? I mean, anytime you have an interface, we were looking, every interface, it's the stuff you touch that that's what emits these amazingly high volumes of EMF, is the touchable interfaces. So if you're carrying your cell phone, I mean, we were reading extremely high readings. I mean, yeah, somebody even said you should be having paranormal phenomena and hallucinations. And it's like, how do we know that we're not? How do we know that we're not? Yeah, the new technology comes on the scene. Suddenly there's a pandemic. Yeah, interesting. Oh, I love thunderstorms. They really clear everything out. You know, what? Let me tell you something. Something that I was alerted to that really is a good way of thinking of that too. Storms are Mother Nature's way of cleaning. She cleans with a big broom, okay? Mother Nature cleans with a big broom. Storms are attracted to negativity. Most really big storms start out in the sea where they can't hurt anybody. But then they are attracted inland to wherever needs to be cleansed. And remember, it's just a mechanism, right? Mother Earth told me there are all kinds of systems and mechanisms on this planet that if you learn to use them, we'd be really well off. We'd be doing a lot better off. But we have forgotten how to use those mechanisms to our advantage. So instead, we kind of get mowed down by some of them. That's what the thing is about a storm. You can mitigate a storm. You can mitigate a storm by, first of all, not being afraid of it. Because look at it. Gemini is calling it beautiful. I call them beautiful too. We don't get hurt by storms. I've had electricity come very near me, but not hurt me in a storm, right? To me, it's beautiful. So do I feel, and if I were to die that way, well, wouldn't be that bad. I mean, uh, not a bad way to go, I guess. Pretty quick. But I don't think that's what's going to happen because storms, you can actually make friends with them. They have a personality. This is weird, I know. Why do you think they name them? They're not going to tell you why they name them. But the tradition of naming them is for a reason. They have personalities. I know, mind blown. But they do. And if you get in touch with that personality, you can actually do some very interesting things. I don't know if I want to get into that right now. That's kind of convoluted, kind of long subject. But see, in the olden days, the medicine people, the witches, the weather witches, would split the wind so that it would go into two smaller storms and avoid the main place. That it was, so you would save your village by splitting the wind. That was part of your job. It's also part of the job of the shaman to mitigate the weather. And I do frequently. I have successfully sent rain and snow to the desert, right? To California. And it was funny because David Wilcock is there like, oh, we know that the white hats are in control of the weather machine because it's raining cats and dogs in California. It's like, well, you're welcome. And it's funny because I do have a white hat. I have a black hat too, though, somewhere. But I have a white hat around here somewhere. It's very interesting, actually. I have a picture of me in it too. I'm being a gangsta. But yeah, some of us are in control. And then And it was funny because I was on the portal at the time, and one of my California friends was going, "Oh my God, it's raining elephants here. You did that." It's like, yeah, there's only one drawback that I found. I am so sorry. Electrocuted by an electrical high line is an entirely different situation, though. And I'm very sorry to hear that. Well, at least, though, it's a very fast way to go. I mean, you don't hang around. Which actually, if you got to die, I prefer it be quick. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. I hear we're going to have some storms coming. I'm fine with it as long as it's just a nice thunderstorm with some pretty lightning, and that's fine. Major cleansing, yes, that's what they're for. And as a matter of fact, people have even reported going out into the storm. And I've done it. Go out into the storm, let it rain on you, let it storm on you. People go, no, you're not going to hit by lightning. And it's like, well, you might, but then your troubles will be over. To the Indians, if you got hit by lightning and you lived, you were an instant shaman. If you got hit by lightning and you died, you were an instant shaman, except you were a dead shaman. But you were a shaman. Anyway, yay. Oh, I'm sorry. So it wasn't that fast. I'm so sorry. So it put him in a coma. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. See, we have such dangerous technology. You're safer to take your chances in a lightning storm than you are in some cases. Because honestly, if we're getting zapped every time we interface any of our many devices that we have now, and we found another major hotspot. If you saw the part about the hotspot over there, we found another major hotspot right here by my desk, right on the left-hand side here, where all these wires are crossing each other. And this kind of reminds me of, and I'm going to touch my interface for just a second here. It moves my chair around. It reminds me of ley lines crossing. So now I'm wondering if that hot spot over there isn't because somewhere, maybe under the floor or something, there are a bunch of crisscrossed wires. Oh, was he badly burned? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, they put him into a medical coma so he wouldn't suffer, huh? Yeah, that's very sad. I hate to see that kind of thing. Yeah, electricity can really mess you up. We are an electrical system. When we get fried, we don't function right. When we get fried, we can not just malfunction, but quit functioning altogether. Our bodies, anyway. Our spirits are still around, but our bodies are based on electricity. They are. So why wouldn't these electrical fields affect us? When they use shielding on electrical appliances, on your computer specifically, they use shielding to protect certain parts of the computer from getting stray signal. Well, then they know that, you know? And if you apply that to your Abby here, your body, I call it my little Abby because I'm really much larger and infinite, but this is my little Abby that I'm using here. My Abby is electrical based. And electricity, you burn yourself out, short circuit yourself. There's lots of ways to burn yourself out. Yes. Oh, that's too bad. Hey, Ken, how you doing? It can really mess you up, yeah. It can mess up your systems. Although, if used in the right way, Tesla actually reinvigorated himself with electricity, reinvigorated his Abbey. He knew how to do that. So once again, a little backdoor hack, huh? Some people have tips, tricks, and hacks that we don't have. But yeah, he would electrocute himself on a regular basis and felt much better with direct current, not alternating. Now, congratulations, Ken, that you're still with us. You know, I find that a lot, Crystal. I find that, here, I'll put it on the screen so you can see what I'm responding to. Yeah, if you're a favorite person, a lot of times they come around you for a while they're kind of shedding their life, their mortal life. A lot of times they'll become attached to a favorite person. Mm-hmm. Richard, hi, Richard. So, anyway, electricity, another one of those things that can kill you or cure you. Used the right way, like one of those TINS units can stop your back pain, right? People use TINS units to stop their back pain, but you know, you get electrocuted in the wrong way. That kind of thing happens. Yeah. Oy. Yuck. Mm. Yeah, we had not that long ago, we had freezing. Now we're full on summer, 80 degrees and up, and 90, actually 90. That's what I'm saying. It may or may not be coming to you from the outdoors today. It may be just too freaking hot out there. But I'll try it. I'm going to try it later on. So anyway, this has been my ranting, and not really rant, just more like stream of consciousness thing. And in the middle of the day, and I might do more of these because a lot of times I'm in the shower or something, all these thoughts hit me, and I think, you know what? I'd really like to share that with my group. By the time 8 o'clock or so, 7 or 8 rolls around, I've forgotten it, or I'm distracted, or I'm tired, or whatever. So, you know, I'm going to start just putting them down at whatever time I have them for posterity. And if people aren't on the live, then, you know, they can all replay them, right? Yeah, the 90s. So it's hotter than normal here. But then again, this is Ohio. What's normal? Oh, I don't think Ohio. Normal in Ohio should probably not be used in the same sentence. I'm kind of that opinion. Using normal in Ohio. Well, normal for Ohio is nuck and futz, really. You know, Ohio is just the weird state. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your luck. If you live here in Ohio. Oh, you know, and it's funny too, because Ohio is called the heart of it all. I wonder sometimes if it really is the heart of it all. You know? What if it really is the heart of everything? Yeah. What if it's really the heart of it all? Would explain a lot. Sure would. Would sure explain a lot. Yep. I'm sure Wright Patterson has its secrets. Anyway, I'm going to try and find something for you that is not a fractal. Okay, I'm going to try and find something else for you. You can explore the idea of fractals on your own. But gonna look into something YouTube-ish. YouTube-ish for you.
It's September.
No, it's not. It's not September. No, it's not. Shut up. Yeah. Strange. I'm a strange girl. There was something I wanted to show you, but can I find it? Can I find it? I don't know if I can find it. Oh boy. Oh, I can't find it. Shoot. That's annoying. Can't find it. Oh, your hernia is hurting you. Oh yeah, lockdowns. It's done us so much good. We finally get out from under everything in Ohio in June. The mayor has decided that constituents have spoken. I'm sure of that. Because at first it was everything locked out. But I know the constituents, most of us were like, "Nyeh." So everything's out the window in June. Which means it's going to be a bloody free-for-all because everybody is so sick of being roped in, just tied into, people are going to be burning, probably have mask burnings, and, like people burning their bras are going to be burning masks. We should have one. Ah, sorry to hear about your hernia. Yeah. So, wow, I just derailed my own train of thought again. Poop. There was a really cool video that I wanted to show you a little small section of. I can't remember which one it was now. Dang. If I can remember. Oh, yeah. Having to do with technology. It's on Paul Cook's channel. It was about something called the heirloom. Not the heirloom, but the heirloom. And you see, it's a funny thing about the 1800s. They had all of these huge castle-like buildings designated as insane asylums. But supposedly they didn't even have that many people. So why did they need huge castles to be insane asylums? Were there that many loonies running around? Well, it really looks more like it was a place for political prisoners. And doing experiments on them, of course. Free experiments without their consent. How else are you going to get them, right? Political prisoners. That's what you always use. It's a good thing, yeah. I mean, they do it lots of places. It's horrible. So what is an heirloom? The heirloom was a device that used gases and hypnosis to mind control people. And it could have all kinds of effects on you. It could do everything from hallucinations to physical feelings. They had names like the nutcracker or the lobster cracker mode. And they had names like the nutmeg grater mode. Obviously, not a pleasant thing. But they were testing it out on basically political prisoners, supposedly lunatics, to make them well. No. Right. Nice. Exactly, Circle. Okay, you got it. Amnesia for pigs. That's it. That was it. That was it. Mind control. Well, Ken, let her use it. Maybe you have other things to do. Maybe you have other things you can do right now. Just take it as a vacation. That'll be plenty to do after your operation. Go with the flow. Maybe she needed to be able to learn that. Circle K, you have it. You're right on the money. That's the one I was talking about. And I'm thinking about that. It was certain gases. And then there was other stuff too that he mentions in there. Like, there, it looks like in the what is called Tartarian times. They had all kinds of ways of doing things that are different from today. And once again, this kind of speaks to an older technology that probably the heirloom was an inherited technology. Because some of these buildings, it's been determined some buildings were actually put in place, and this is what the pyramids were probably for, frequency control. Because if you control the frequency, you control the minds of people. You can control their moods and attitudes. So if you control frequency, whoa, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it is. Yep. Frequency control. They've been working on it, haven't they? What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet? Okay, guys. I'm trying to get my bangs to where I like them. They're kind of like that. I like them all over the place, though. I kind of like having bangs. It can look a lot of ways. I can either like put them like that a little bit. Anyway, oh, a Stihl chainsaw. Yeah, that's a good brand. I'd kind of like one of those little mini chainsaws to go out and cut sticks to make stabs and stuff from, because I like to do that kind of thing. Stabs and wands. So, interesting. You just haven't, you know, you got to take these things for what they are. And by the way, if anybody else is looking, it's Paul Cook's channel. It's a very interesting channel. I can't hold with every single conclusion he comes up with, but he does some good work. I don't hold with every single conclusion anybody comes up with. I can come up with some of my own. Sometimes I don't even come up with a conclusion. Sometimes I think we really block ourselves by coming to conclusions. Sometimes I think that the only way to go is, I kind of like it that way too. The only way to go is by keeping your mind open and not making a lot of conclusions. They say that in excess consciousness. They say conclusions kind of go chunk, stops the process. Because you're thinking, you know, and you're flowing along, you come to a conclusion. Okay, I've come to a conclusion. What happens? Okay, it stops. Not necessarily the best thing. So, access consciousness says conclusions. Maybe you don't need to come to conclusions. Maybe you just need to stay open and see what happens. And you don't have to come to a conclusion, really. People think you do, but really you don't have to. You can just wait and, you know, see what the next thing brings, what the next information is. That's okay, Pam. It's a real unusual time for me. And I might do more of these, though, because, you know, I get these ideas for a stream of things that I want to talk about, and I forget them later on. I don't know if you can hear it upstairs, but I think there's sumo wrestling again. Every time they do this kind of thing, these huge clunks, all I can think of is let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. I should, every time they start that stuff, I should play it real loud. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the Let the bodies hit the floor. Anyway, hope they're not really killing anybody up there and dumping the bodies. Ah! No, they're not. I don't know what they're doing up there. Maybe moving their bowling balls around. I don't know. Doesn't quite sound like that either. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, it sure is distracting sometimes, though. It's like that when I was trying to stream, and outside my window I was hearing things that sounded like a battle going on, gunfire and shots and explosions, and I'm like, what the is going on? It's like off in the distance. Oh, God. Whoa. You don't want that in the background while you're trying to do something spiritual. That's darn hard. Very distracting. Yep. So, anyway, I think I'm nearly tapped out, unless somebody comes up with another subject. I think I've just about run through most of it. I have, like I said, a few ideas for future streams. We can do mudras. I don't know much about it, but we can learn together. Here, another one of those little switches and levers for your Abby. It appears as though. And anything I find like that, I might bring in and might put it under the heading of tips, tricks, and hacks for winning the game. As we know, once you win, and this is that is something to consider. How you get out of a game, because people are going, how are we going to get out of this game? Well, normally in a game, if you know, and maybe this is why it's good to have some kind of experience with games, is usually there's a boss you have to fight on every level, or there's some major thing you have to do to get to the next level you have to overcome. So maybe we have to look around and see, who is this boss we have to beat? And how do we beat them? It's a thought. Oh, sounds great. Oh, great. Okay. Oh. I am Pam, I am. I am Pam, I am. I am Pam. And then I realized you were saying Pam, I am. Pam, I am Pam. Green eggs and ham. Whoop. I can't find my Dr. Seuss hat again. Oh, well. My cat in the hat is missing again. But I'm sure it's just misplaced. Anyway, it's really tight, though. I gotta say, it's really tight. It was made for a much smaller head than mine. So when I put it on, it kind of squeezes my brains a little. I have the big head, you know. I have a kind of a big head. Not because think I'm so great or anything. Well, actually, I do think I'm great. No, it's just I have a large size head. I have a big cranium. My cranial capacity. I'm strange. Oh, you love the subjects I talk about? Oh, cool. I knew you were one of my sisters. Crystal, I really do. You know, someday, if you come into MeWe, I will give you my phone number and maybe we can chat someday on the phone. I do that with, it's funny because whenever I chat Jim on the phone, we're always on the same page. Great minds have a tendency to think alike. Certain, soul groups have a tendency to be into the same subjects together. Oh, you know what? I would have, but I was exhausted. I had a big day. I would have loved to do that. You stormed the Vatican's basement. I have to replay that. I'll have to replay that and see how you did because I wondered about that myself. Yeah, I was just exhausted. I have some changes happening. I have a friend who's helping me get my music back together, get my guitars and stuff in order, get my guitar fixed. And I got to tell you, I found Purple Kitty. Who's Purple Kitty? My guitar. Purple Kitty's being fixed right now. She had, that's funny. Purple Kitty's being fixed. Usually, you ever notice when you send pets out to be fixed, you break them actually? Anyway, there's something's broken on them when they get back. But anyway, Purple Kitty is a guitar that I used to use, that I played for years on the street corner when I was a street corner musician. And when I was doing other things, I mean, when I was playing around. And it's good to see her again. I'm glad I still have her. But I found Purple Kitty. So, and I also found my purple Strat, my purple Square, which is nice to see. But boy, was it filthy because it hadn't been in a case. And we restrung it, but I'm not sure what's going on with it. That's right. We have email. Okay, we can do it that way. Yeah, I keep trying to clean out my email so I can keep getting stuff. Looking for the library, walked out with the goodies. Oh, Pam's got a puppy? You got a puppy? Listen how my voice goes way up when I hear about puppies. Or kitties. Pets. New pets. I like pets. I like animals. I like animals. Even snakes. I don't care. There are some very cute snakes. I know. People get like, what are you crazy? It's like, no, I actually had a very cute, sweet little snake. She was such a sweet personality, little snake. Little garter snake. She was so sweet. People go, what the? No, she would like to wrap up in my hair and she'd tickle my ears and she'd sit there and watch TV with me and she'd sit there and watch the screen while I was looking things up. And she was just a real sweet little girl. She would wrap around me a little bit and she would find a nice comfortable place to be and just hang out with me. She was actually a sweet girl. She was, I'd pet her and she loved it. Sometimes I'd clean her and they love that. You go down the length of their bodies and like any other animal, she loved that. 8 weeks old. Puppy, puppy, puppy. Oh, I'll have to take a look at that. Take a transistor radio, put it on AM, and it will pick up EMFs. You know what? Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't believe how high some of it was around here. Really crazy. I guess what happens with ElectroSmart is they give you a total of all of it hitting you, which is why it comes up to that level. Paul, it seems like the one he was using was measuring individual things at a certain radius. But puppies, 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 puppies. What kind of puppy is he? What kind of dog? We have ways of making you confess what kind of dog he is. We will use the heirloom. You will comply. That's my best evil scientist or an evil person, evil genius, torturer. I don't know who that is. I don't want to be that person. Anyway, okay. A sheepadoodle. So I'm guessing cross between a poodle, a sheepdog. Interesting. I bet you, Rodman, Ken. Oh, cool. Nope, kittens are the best. Puppies are good, but kittens are better. But you know why? Because they purr. I've never even had a dog that even tried to purr. If they purred, it would be different. Oh, Labradoodles, yeah. We have so many dogs in this building. I don't want a dog. When they start barking, everybody's got a dog. Everybody's got a little dog. And they all are out there walking their dogs at all hours. I can't say I really like poodles that well. The full-size poodles, but the tiny little poodles are too yappy for me. And I think it's inbreeding. I just don't care for poodles that much. Poodles are just not my kind of dog. I am more of a spaniel type. Spaniel or a lab or something like that. I'm more for that kind. My first dog, in fact, was a spaniel. And spaniels are great for kids. I mean, in a way. They're pretty tough. They're about mid-size. Yeah. They're most of them are pretty even-tempered. Yeah, I'd say spaniels are good for kids. Yeah. And she had very silky hair. I love that. My spaniel had such silky hair. To me, poodles, they have the fluffy cotton hair. It's okay. It's not my favorite, though. They can't help it. They have the fluffy cotton hair. Yeah, that's what I think too. She was very protective. She was they're bred for hunting a lot of times, but she was a great dog. God, she was a great dog. She really was a great spaniel. She was part spaniel, part Dalmatian. She was a Spalmatian, I guess. A Daniel? I don't know what you would call that. Spaniel Dalmatian. Spalmatian? Maybe that's why they don't breed them, is because they can't come up with a cute name for them to sell them. How you doing, Etri? Yeah, the no shed thing about poodles. Yeah, that's the main reason I think people like them, is the no shedding. Yeah, because shedding can really, you can I've seen people who've gotten enough hair off their dog to knit themselves a dog fur sweater, you know. Uh, oh my goodness. So maybe if we could get a spoodle, a spaniel poodle, a no shed with silky hair, then I'd like that. We need a spoodle. Yeah, that's the only thing. Is some of these dogs just they bark, 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 bark. Uh, what what is that one that Paris Hilton had? My friend got one of those, and she can't shut him up. Nothing she does. His dog, he just yap 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 at every little thing. So drives her completely up the wall. Loves him anyway, but drives her up the wall. See, I don't want that. I want something quiet. That's why I'm getting a kitty. They're mostly quiet, except when they meow for food. But then again, you know. Hey, Drake. I think small dogs bark more because they're trying to make up for their size. I mean, imagine to them how small they are, how big we are. We're giants. We're freaking everything else in the world. There is freaking giant, right? These poor little tiny dogs, and their instinct based on what thinking about what their instincts are and everything. But everything is freaking giant to them. Must not be easy. Yeah. Yeah, the Chihuahua. I call it the Chihuahua complex. When very tiny, tiny people start. I call it the Chihuahua complex. Because a lot of times people who feel inadequate somehow, they do a lot of barking too. So I often wonder if these poor little Chihuahuas and stuff, and the Chihuahuas always look so nervous. They're always like this. They always look like, you know. And I'm like, I don't think I could handle that. I couldn't handle that in a dog. I couldn't handle that. Cats, on the other hand, they're my style. They're like, hi, gonna pet me, gonna pet me. All right, I'll come down and lay down on your freaking keyboard so you pet me. Purr, purr, purr. Cats are a little bit more subtle, but in some ways, and more brash in other ways, because they will just they'll just wipe out whatever you're doing, obliterate whatever you're doing when they want attention. It's funny. Oh, a standard size sheepadoodle. Yeah, that's usually how it happens. Golden doodles. Well, yeah, yeah. I love them when they live with somebody else. Dogs are fine for you. Oh, yeah. Some of them think they're much bigger. My cat thought she was a guard dog. Thought she was a guard cat sometimes. She was definitely like an Egyptian guard cat. She would let people know. Oh, no, you're not taking that. No, you're not moving that. That stays there. She would have a fit. And she would come in and tell me, Mom, stuff is being moved around in your front room. I know you don't like that. Somebody just took something out of your place. You know, when my friend was helping me move some stuff around and clean, and she would take stuff out, and it was like the cat would freak out. It's like, you're not supposed to take that. That's our chair. That's my favorite chair, in fact. Where are you taking that? How am I supposed to lie in it if you put it out there? Mom, somebody's taking our stuff. She'd throw a fit. A Chewini. Oh, a Chewini. A Chewini? I won't say it. No, there's too many ways to go with that. Too easy. You know the way my mind works. Yeah, see, that's why. That's how they get you. Then you have to have one of your own. Yeah, I know. It's funny though, kittens. So it's like I cannot resist a single. I can resist dogs. They're sweet, but I can resist them. But I can't resist kittens. When they start purring, I just can't. They're like baby. It's like, oh, it's a baby. Not that I'd ever harm any of them. Yeah. But I had a mini dachshund too for a while. And the mini dachshund, boy, was he a character. Him and the Siamese cat. I had a, dig this, I had a Siamese cat and a mini dachshund. And they were brothers in their heads, you know. And it was Odie and Garfield. Does anybody remember Odie and Garfield? Oh, God. I had Garfield cups and stuff because it reminded me of Odie and Garfield, and they were so funny together. But they loved each other. I mean, like if my mom would say, go out and get your brother, if one of them was sitting there and the other wasn't, Mom would say, go out and get your brother. We're going to be closing up pretty soon, closing the door. Going to be locking the door pretty soon. Go get your brother. And sure enough, whichever one of them was in would go out, find the other one, and they'd both be sitting there at the door, and they'd both come in. And of course, they'd get lots of love for doing that. And they knew what she was saying. And, you know, so as a kid, I just expected animals would know what I was saying. Well, as it turns out, a lot of them do. But they think to you. It's not like they talk, right? Oh, you are etchy. Yeah, I want another kitty. You know, and if you teach a cat and a dog that they are brothers, then they will be. I mean, you know, they'll accept each other. I mean, I have plenty of videos of that I have liked to see the cat and the dog getting along very well together and taking care of each other, because that is extremely possible as soon as they both realize that they're in the same family together. Uh, they just accept each other as family. And then, but they act like family too. Like sometimes, like, um, the cat though was so funny. The Siamese cat was always playing tricks on Bummer, but Bummer would come and Circe was his name, Circe would play tricks on Bummer, and Bummer would play tricks on Circe. And I remember one time Circe is sitting on the back porch, looking out in the backyard, surveying his domain on the top step, going, ah, yes, oh, this is mine. This is my domain. I am king here. Just with that look on his face like cats get. Yes, this is mine. Oh, this is mine. And Mom lets Bummer out. And Bummer comes barreling through, just knocks him right down the steps. And they go tumbling, 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 tumbling together on down. They hit the bottom of the steps, not very many steps. Hit the bottom of the steps. And Bummer's just like, that was fun, wasn't it? Wasn't it fun? And Circe is like, yeah. Oh God. Yeah, and it's funny. The cats are usually the boss. A lot of times the kitty cats are the boss of the two. Because dogs are followers. They really are. Dogs are really natural followers. Whoever is the, most assertive is the top dog, and they'll follow that. It's how they're wired. You are the top dog, but there is a pecking order within a dog pack. And so cats usually end up being the boss. But then the cat would get him back by, we'd go on a walk with the dog around the block, and there was this one tree that was kind of low. It was a dwarf mulberry. And the cat would always hide, and there was bushes around it, these hedges, and kind of low, but Bummer being very low to the ground, So anyway, Circe would wait, and somewhere along those hedges, he would either jump out of the hedges at Bummer and startle him, or jump out of the tree to land in front of Bummer and startle him. So Bummer was just, every time we got past this patch, he'd be looking all around like, I know that cat is here somewhere. Where is the cat? Where is the cat? The cat is here somewhere. So here's Bummer. We're walking him through, and he's looking all around like, where's the cat? Okay, I know he's looking in the bushes, like, stopping to look in the bushes and smelling around. Where is that cat? All of a sudden, from the driveway up ahead, the cat comes darting out around the bushes, around the edge corner of the bushes, comes racing full on at the dog like he's going to run right into him. And the dog just is like, what? So surprised, stands stiff, like, and like, what the hell? Where were you? What? And just as Circe got up to where instead of running right into him, just jumps right over him and continues running. And the dog just looks around like, what just happened? I said, Circe, that was a good one. Bummer was like, did that cat just dematerialize? Because he just leaped right over him. It was so funny. Oh my God. Oh, they were so funny. I could watch them for hours, and I miss them. Oh, the pit sits on the couch like a person and wants you to pet him. Yeah, they do that. Oh, and pits, they're lap dogs. They're huge lap dogs. And when they sit on your lap, they sit all over your lap. Oh, Oh, yes. Thanks. You're buried under all of this dog. It's really funny. Yeah, pits are just so loving. They really are. They're very loving, sweet dogs that when they're not trained evil. And yeah, dogs and cats can have really big personalities. They really can. It's amazing. Yes, and he doesn't want to let you go. You're not allowed to go. My cat was like that. You know what my cat would do? My cat would go camp out on my purse. It figured out I wasn't going anywhere without my purse. So the cat would lay on the purse. So he knew if he was laying on the purse, I was still there. I wasn't going anywhere without him knowing it. It's like, yeah. And then I'd have to get him off the purse in order to go anywhere. Yeah, they're bed hogs. Yes, they are. Ah, yeah. Mm. He doesn't let my husband in bed. That reminds me of this thing I see on YouTube called Cat Daddy, Cat Daddy Problems or something like that. And it's the woman is always running into the guy, and he's always got all three cats, around him, and so she never gets any time with the cats because they're basically his cats. Yeah, my cat purse. And sometimes she'd lie over things like a log, and I'd call her the cat log. Let me move the cat log here. Yeah, it's funny. Hi, Barry. Yeah, Barry snuck in here. And yeah, it's like they're wonderful. But, really, I think one of the things that really made me know, empathy, it's rough. If you've got a pet, you may, like I was trying to figure out why I was craving liver, craving liver, craving liver. But I didn't really want to eat liver or cook liver at that point. I like liver. I like it. But I wasn't really wanting liver, but I was kind of craving liver. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I look at my cat. She's looking up at me. And I'm looking at her liver flavored. Oh my God. She wants the liver flavored treats. Okay. So I gave her some liver flavored treats and all went away. Yeah. Yep. That's how that's one of the ways they talk. Another thing that I noticed is anytime I would clean out a spot, that's where the cat would sit. I would have, because I wanted to put something there. It was in my mind, see, to have a clean spot there to put something there. The cat would sit there. The cat would go right over. And I'm like, why? How does she know? Well, what she was doing, I think, is picking up the picture it was a picture in my mind. So, of course, she thinks it's about her because cats thinks everything about them. Everything's about them. See? So if she's seeing a picture in my mind, it must be about her, right? So she must want me to sit there. She's cleaning off this spot for for me to sit. You know? Yeah, the dog probably knows too. He says, "Yeah, this is the best spot." Yeah, no, you can't come. No. Yeah. Ooh. Ow, Barry. That was unneighborly. That was. That wasn't very nice. What did you do to get that? Well, how did you piss him off? You know, that's one thing I noticed about cats. Cats are boxers. They will box. They like boom, 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 you know. But really, they're open-handed, like usually open-fisted with the claw, because you got to have the claws. You know, or sometimes they will actually go like this. They'll get up on they'll sit up and they'll do this thing. It's so funny. This game I play, which is like based on Looney Tunes, it has the cat as a boxer, his boxer character, and it's got him sitting up like that doing the thing, and it's like, but they do that. They really do that. You know, it's funny. Yeah, you know what? Isn't that weird? Yeah. Isn't that weird? It's almost like I'm psychic or something. Yeah. That's another kind of therapy. You know what? I knew a guy who did that when he did readings at the psychic fairs. All they would be he would just sit there and have a conversation with the person. And somehow, as he had a conversation with them, he would bring up exactly what they needed to hear. Just like you'd have a conversation over coffee. So he started selling that shit. Oh, yeah. You go to psych affairs, they just have a 15-minute conversation with somebody, and they would hear what they needed to hear. And you know what? It's a funny thing, but I could probably do that because I do it all the time, because I've had people go, wait a minute. I was just thinking about that. Yeah. Duke show is coming on in 30. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this show. We're having our fun. I don't think that today is the day for, I think a lot of people will be having their own new moon, or I mean full moon ceremony tonight. So perhaps we're better off having ours tomorrow, because after a certain hour here on Sundays, it's pretty busy. I might come in a little later if I get like I said, if I can get out there with my camera, with my phone cam. I'll get out and show you a little bit of the, some of these times when it's nice. I'll show you some of our backwoods, and I'll show you the Sasquatch crossing and stuff like that. Thanks, Circle K. By the way, can I please say again, if you find it in your heart, I got several things I'm trying to do. If you have something, if you have a feeling about donating, please consider me at PayPal, Ocean Diana. That's right, paypal.me/Ocean Diana. That's my PayPal me. And every little bit helps, because I got things in the works that I'm going to be trying to do here for the channel that I want to do. I want to bring more music into it and stuff. Well, thank you, Audrey and Jamie. You know what? I have done nostril hair readings for Barry, but only for Barry. Just him alone. Well, thank you, Pam. I really appreciate that. Etri, and you know what? I was going to ask you, do you want, I'm going to sell my e-link, not my Q-link, but my e-link. If anybody's interested in my e-link, let me know. There's something like $45 instead of $100. Q-links are like $100 and something. Let me know. But I'm going to be selling a few things. Some of my cool stuff that I just don't use that much anymore, probably. I am trying to buy some musical stuff. I found, like I said, I found Purple Kitty. I also found my purple Strat. And I think I want to get into the music stuff a little more. And so I'm going to try and do some of that. And I'm going to try and get us a few cool things going on. There's some cool things in the works. I thought, you know, t-shirts and whatnot, but, you know, everybody does t-shirts and stuff. That would be cool, but I'm having trouble somehow to get in that. I used to have a nice t-shirt shop, but when I lost it, somehow when I got hacked, and I can't somehow some of the main ones, I can't get my account back. And if I try to use my email, I'm going to have to use another email and maybe another, you know, I'm going to have to do some rearranging in order to get anything like that to happen. And then I tried to work with the t-shirt gang, and that didn't transpire either. Something or other happened. So I don't know what's going on. But I guess I'm just not meant to do that right now. I'm meant to do other stuff. But there is a lot of stuff I know how to do. I know how to make stabs and wands. I know how to make jewelry and talismans and things. And I know how to make dream catchers. A lot of things I know how to do. Maybe I should be making magical. You tell me. Maybe I should be making some magical tools, magical supplies. Maybe I should be involved more in that. You let me know. Let me know what you want to see on this channel too. And please do, if you feel like sending me an email or leaving one in a message on MeWe that is a testimonial, if I have helped you at all, or if there's anything that I was right about when I did a reading or something, because I'm going to try and get a website together at some point. Hopefully I will be doing that at some point soon. And so that we have a repository for all our wisdom, because really, you guys have come up with a lot, and so have I. I mean, we've come up with a lot of interesting things that I really don't want to get lost. I really don't want them to get lost. So, what? What? Oh, it's okay, Atri. Just, it's okay. You know, the state I live in is cutting off the extra unemployment we were getting, so my income is being cut about half. I still haven't been able to find a job. Oy. I'm sorry, Crystal. Oh, thank you, Pam. Yeah. You don't have to, though, Atri. I mean, you know, I'll find some stuff to do. I'm selling my guitar that you've seen me play. It needs work. I don't want to put the work into it. Somebody who doesn't mind a fixer-upper, I'm selling my guitar. Pretty cheap. I'll sell it pretty cheap. It needs fixed. I'm gonna get Purple Kitty fixed. I miss her. Miss playing her. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, Etri. Yeah, they want people to go out and work. I heard that. Ah, jeez. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, Galactic Woo Crew, the musical. uh, yeah. Thank you so much for listing that on my page. Can't find enough people. Yeah. Um, hmm. Yeah, there are a lot of places that can't find workers. And there are a lot of places that can't find decent workers. Boy, I mean, some people, they don't know how public service, they got no clue. Oh, the army is enforcing the curfew. Wow. Wow. We're finally coming out from under it in June. I can't wait. Well, I can wait. I'm getting ready. We're going to play music again. There will be music again. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit going on right now. I hate to say, folks. There's a lot of weird stuff. And I think it's going to get a little weirder too. I'm so glad that we're finally going to drop all the restrictions here. There'll probably be people kick about it, but I feel most of the people here have the same idea. Um, it's killing our economy. So, yeah, the businesses are all back to their hours of operation. Oh, that's good, actually. The government got so busted that she had to back off, and she did. We're almost at 100% right now. Everyone is shedding the masks. Yeah, yeah, ours too. Yeah, they just basically everybody's saying, "Hey, I've had it. This is killing our economy. This is killing our way of life." You know, and I realize it's killing some people, but people die. It happens. It's sad, but they do die of something. And if our whole economy dies, and everybody becomes either dependent on a government check or destitute or whatever, that's certainly not going to help them live either. It's really hard. Yeah, not so deep into the matrix. Yeah, I know what you mean, Crystal. Um, you know what? I used to do a thing where I did readings for what job you were cut out for, you were really made for doing. And everybody who pursued that was successful. Maybe I need to return to doing that. Maybe I need to do job readings. Where are you going to work? Maybe I need to do that again for people. What would be the best kind of job for you? What would be, and where to look? We could try that. I could see if I could do it again. I don't remember exactly how I did that. Yeah. Yeah, I could try that. Well, there was a need for it. I mean, that's how it came about, is there were so many people. We went through a really tough time here in Ohio at one point, and particularly around here in Kent. Kent was dying. Town was dying. There was almost nothing going on. The only thing going on was the bars and one theater. That was most of what was going on in town, and that doesn't work, you know. And so a lot of people were looking for, what am I meant to do in this life? I'm going to see if they'll help me do that again. If we can see where you need to go, what you need to be doing. Right now, what I see when I am thinking about it is most people need to get out of the standard job market. As scary as it is, none of these jobs are really safe anymore. Yeah. It looks like there's going to need to be a lot of thinking outside the box, as difficult as that may be. Don't spend those checks. Spend them very carefully. Make sure you're investing in yourself. Right. Or actually, you got to find one that's not evil at all. To heck with this lesser the evil shit. We're going to find people jobs that are not evil at all. How about that? So, what do you think? This is with makeup. I use very minimal makeup, though. You like the makeup or not? I've got a little makeup on. I don't know if you can even tell, though. Just a little. I usually put a little bit of eyebrows and eyeshadow, and usually do my eyes and a little bit of um, blush. That's all. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Just wondering if I'm trying to update my image a little. I want to give you something nice to look at, you know. Well, thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to make it like not too overt, but just enhancement, not so that you go makeup, but just, oh, she's got eyes. Look. Because there's certain things that just kind of disappear, or some, especially when you wear glasses. It's like, you know your eyes kind of get disappeared and stuff. I mean, and my hair is not that dark, so neither are my eyelashes or my brows, so I have to kind of darken them a little. I don't have mascara on right now, but I have eyeliner. Anyway, maybe I'll do a makeup video on Frugal's channel, Frugal Makeup. Thank you. Remember, Frugal is a maximalist minimalist. Is a maximalist for the minimal cost. Oh, well, okay. Maybe we need to talk, because I want to do that too. Thank you, Pam. So do you. I don't really like my picture here, though. I don't think that looks very good, that I have here on this thing. Yeah, I don't wear too much makeup. I just think you're marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. You know who you are. You look marvelous. Um, yeah, so I'll try and remember, but sometimes I get inspired. But yeah, I'll try and remember to put on the makeup and the hair and stuff. I think the hair has helped me look a little bit more like I belong doing this. You know, you don't want to have a face for radio and do this, although some people do. You know, there are some people that I'm like, I can't believe that you are, you know, are, there are people who though that they don't care. They're just, you know, and it's great though in a way because we get to see people are not all like movie stars. People look all different sorts of ways, you know, and we're getting used to that. And I think that's a very good thing. Yeah, me too. I want to do that too because I've got a lot of things to sell. Mine would be like curio type stuff. Mine would be like I want to sell this guitar. I want to sell if anybody knows how to, you know, fix a guitar, it would be a good guitar. You know, I think it'd cost maybe if you take it somewhere, it might cost like $30 or $40 to fix. So I don't want to sell it for too much, but um you know, I know people who like to fiddle around with guitars, like some people fiddle around with cars or whatever, and guitars being a little cheaper uh, in some cases. But I know people like to do that, so I'm going to offer it even though it needs to be fixed. You know, Jamie, my friend Jamie, I don't know what happened to Jamie, but he used to like to do that. He used to like to fiddle around. He'd make weapons out of scratch. He made himself a thumb piano out of uh, rake tines and some wood he found. He'd do stuff like that. He was a real interesting character. Boy, I kind of wish I had one like that to show you some of the stuff that people have done. It's cool. Hmm. Tarot reading and coffee. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you know what? I could do that. I totally um yeah, a $30 fix or something. I just don't want to take the time on it. I want to spend my money on fixing the ones that are a little better. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of eyeballing a new one. I'm kind of looking at a new one. There's one that I would love to try, and it is a what they call a headless. It's very lightweight, and the reason is because Jason let me play his, but his is a heavy mofo. I mean, I put that thing on and I felt like I was holding a pit bull in my lap. This thing is big, metal, very metal, very, very metal. I forget what he said it was, a Gibson something or other, but it just had metal and shit all over it. It was just beautiful, but um, and kind of scary looking. A very imposing guitar. He let me play it. It sounded beautiful, but honestly, I don't want one like that. That's too heavy. It just made me like, oh, my neck hurt, my back hurt, my arm hurt. Um, a lute. Yeah, that would be cool if I could find a lute that I could afford. That'd be, I can learn to play it. That'd be the other thing. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Matter of fact, Crystal, maybe you could do like Lucid is doing. And I'm thinking of, I'm getting into this too. I've already talked to Lucid about it. There is a sort of a circle of women who, it's women so far mostly, who source stuff. Um, Curio, that's why she does Lucid Curios. And they kind of have a circle of websites, of channels where they have sales. And I'm thinking of joining them on that and having regular sales of stuff because you can reach a much wider audience online. Only thing is shipping charges. That's where the money. Now that the post office is charging way more. And if you're shipping to Canada, I'm going to have to say, no, if I'm shipping to Canada, you're going to have to pay for the charges because it's horrible to ship to Canada. It's horrible to ship out of state now, even. To ship out of country is really bad, you know. Yeah, we can talk about it. I mean, I don't know all of the ramifications of it yet either, but I'm going to give it a shot because you can really find more people online, and it's easier to sell something when you can show it off and demonstrate it, you know, live. It seems like that would be an easier way than, you know, because I've tried to sell it other ways and people will ask you 5 million questions about just a ring. It's a size 9 ring. It looks exactly like this. Well, blah, 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 and there's all these questions like, it's a $9 ring, size 10, made out of silver, and how is that, you know, how many questions? Well, they find questions to ask. And then you got to write back to them all. I know. Shipping those shoes to Bomber. Holy crap. They weren't even heavy. They weren't even really heavy ones. You know. Yeah, 4.5 pounds. It's not even that. You know, I thought selling little stones and crystals, but you know what? Even those are not that cheap. You know, it's at least even just a few things in there. It's at least you can't get by with shipping almost anything like that without it. At least $5 to start. Well, anyway, okay. Ooh, barbecue chicken. Oh, that sounds so good. Etri, I love you. Hugs. I don't know if I'm going to be on later. Really, guys, I think this may be it. Because it's 8:11 already, the time I'd normally be starting. And as much as I love you, I think I'm going to do our full moon ceremony tomorrow after everybody gets this, because I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be out doing theirs tonight, including maybe me. Still have Gumby. Okay. You too, dear. Yeah. And I might be heading that way too, Pam. Maybe I'll start having things a little earlier so that I can go and look at other people's stuff on a Sunday. You know, because people did show up. So, you know, I think maybe I'll start having stuff early on Sunday so that we can go visit other people. Okay. I love you guys. And truth is where you find it. I hope you find some of it here. If you like it, please share, subscribe, comment. It helps us get found in the algorithms. Think back on how you found us and maybe put a word in there. Or if you found us by YouTube's algorithms, then remember that somebody probably commented or something in order to get you here. So please do leave a comment, even if it's just sup y'all, like I do. I don't have time. I can't even make comments on my PC. I don't know where the switch is. I don't know what's going on. I can't make comments. I don't know. I bought it. This is a used PC. I don't know what's going on. But I have to go on my phone to make a comment. But I can thumb it up. So I do that. But anyway, love you guys. Get in touch with me. Like I said, if I've helped you, please let me know that I've helped you. We'll put it into a bunch of testimonials that will help me get some work, because I'm going to need that too. I got things coming up. Got a lot of things coming up that I'd like to jump on. For instance, I still want my Earthship now more than ever. I do. So, along with other stuff. But, okay. And remember that you are divine. And don't let anybody tell you any different. You are divine. This is Ocean Making Waves. Now go out and make some of your own. Yay! I love you. See you next time. Love to you too. You guys are so sweet. I just love y'all. I do. Y'all are the best. I love you.